my god, dashing Deadly Rhodes is so hard.
I entered at number 99. Okay, bro, I'm like, my career is basically done. I did end up getting away with it. I had this script in 2016. Ken knew it for a while, apparently. Just watch the wheel go round. I'll steer as you go down. You're only smoke and mirrors. You're only smoke and mirrors. You're only smoke and mirrors. You're only smoke and mirrors tonight.
People want to know, is Deadly Rhodes ever going to come back? Hello everyone, I'm back here again with another Roblania special. Today, I'm here with Deadly Rhodes. Deadly, how are you doing today?
I'm good, bro. How are you?
I'm doing pretty fantastic, if I have to say so for myself. Would like to thank everyone for watching that Omni video before. If you guys haven't checked it out yet, we do have a new deep dive video coming out. Steiner section will be coming out next week though. In replacement, we did just add this deep dive with Jackson, so you guys should go check that out if you can. So we came today me and Deadly just reconnected, and on the topic of cheating, we have someone who was amongst the high cards, and no offense to Omni, but a little bit above that. And I think this one is more of an interesting case because instead of being in the situation where you have to defend yourself and people are asking the big what if he did it, you are actually one of the people that came out and admitted it. So that's one thing I gotta give you props for. So we're gonna skip the question of did you cheat, but the thing that everyone wants to know, why did you cheat? Or before we get into that, go back to square one. Would you like to talk about the night that you were caught with the cheats? And
All right.
if you want to, you can go into like how were you feeling that night of the Royal Rumble? Because I also know that was a big thing. I remember reading your twit longer when the night happened, and you were going into detail about that. So would you mind going into detail about how you felt heading into the Rumble?
All right. So basically, in October, which was the Rumble, I entered at number 99, which I was like grateful for. But like mid entrance, I saw Desaro and Rudy, who were like last two, and then I forgot Jay entered at number 200. So people think I used invisible walls or like expanded the ropes, but what I really did was like, I'm pretty sure you know the game The Streets, like the rope banging game. I saw a script like online, so like it was called it would make it so you fly. Like on my screen, it would appear that I was flying, but on other people's screen, I'd like spike in position. So it was kind of like a click teleport, but really you'd like press a key, and I keybinded it to something. I was getting teamed, and then like I'd press the key to spike in position, and it kind of like unstun you basically. And I never really gave the script to anyone, but the script made it look like an X hold. I'm pretty sure you know what that is. I was really unlucky because like when I let go of the key to the exploit, like my head bounced off the ropes, which made it look like I was using big ropes, and then like the like I was getting accused with like DPV and SayJ, and they made a group chat trying to tell me how I was using invisible walls, and I couldn't really explain it to them, like because I can't really say anything other than like, okay, I see your point of view, because I can't really like admit to it like on the first day. They just kept going on, and they were like making jokes mid through, so I was just like awkwardly laugh. After they added me into group chat, it was Ken, Mox or Miz, DPV and SayJ, and they were trying to tell me how I used an invisible wall, which I really didn't. I was using the what I talked about. Like at the time, I already knew like, okay, bro, I'm like my career is basically done, and I really wanted to retire because I already had plans on retiring when I was 16. It was October, and my birthday's in November, and like 16 is kind of like, for me, I guess, like that's kind of the year I wanted to retire, because like I want to be a normal teenager, and I don't want to like get known for playing Roblox or anything. And I just got bored of it. I only wanted to do like I only wanted to be known for dashing deadly roads, like my gimmick, and that's literally what I got to do. And I was thankful because after the rumble, I got a lot of hate, but then like 2 days later it calmed down. But what I didn't like is like people would like talk about my IRL name, which like I didn't really care about because people already knew it. But like so, it led to like somebody having my IP, which I still don't know who it is. It was kind of annoying, bro. And like my router got fried. Not really, but it just went off. And I hope it wasn't because of the rumble situation. But yeah, that's kind of dumb. And then like a month later, okay, when I thought things would go back to normal, I was like, okay, bro, I might get like things might go back to normal. Ken and Mox randomly make a group chat, and they were being super nice about it, and they were talking about something about the script that I didn't know of because I forgot the name of the script, which was the script was in 2016. Like the script was made 2016. It was an aimbot script, and it would basically make it so you don't miss your swings and you'd lock onto your like the other person's torso, and people would be like, okay, so Dudley only cheated for the rumble, not an actual clean, so he still has a future and stuff. But what they didn't know, Ken knew it for a while. Apparently, he told me he knew it like a month before, and he'd call me in the local logs, and that's when local logs weren't like nobody really knew about local logs. People would just like watch you fight and be like, okay, this guy's sus or not. And the reason like I didn't go for any high card titles because if you look at like it took me a while to get an APRW because I had to like play it off legit. And I made like I usually went for IC because that's what Cody won, and IC was kind of easy to win, and it wasn't really as much high carders because high carders they're gonna like, okay, this guy's cheating, bro. I just lost to this guy, and like they're gonna think of me as a random, and they'll be like, okay, I just lost to this guy. Like this guy's obviously cheating. So I just went for minors, and then as like people were like got to know me more, I went for like some majors at indies, but barely any. And then what do you call it? Survivor Series. That's the day where I got on Mayhem, and I forgot Survivor Series was before the Rumble, but that's like where I also got known for that because that's the day I left Outbreak and joined Mayhem, and that's also the day I got a point for Mayhem. And it was me and Tyler Black. We won it for Legacy.
Can knowing it, can seeing it in the local logs. Can you put it into words? Just for simplicity, did you use exploit before the rumble, and like how often, if you did?
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna be honest, bro. Like the script, you know how it was made in 2016. I've had exploits since 2016. Basically, in 2016, I was in like seventh grade or something, and I'm in like 10th grade right now, about to go to 11th. The script, I after my 2019 days, which was like arcade days, I talked to Julian, and I didn't really have a friend group. I just went there to like play Fortnite with them and stuff, and we were just troll. But then eventually, like they showed me like more into like cheating on Roblox, and then Julian was like, "Bro, you should just use it. Like nobody cares, to be honest." And then I used it, and then I started off like as a generic gimmick, and then I really wanted to do dashing like Cody Rhodes, like the gimmick, because like I was like, well, just why not, bro? I'm gonna just do what I want before like I retire. And I already made a tweet. Like you can go on my Twitter. I said somewhere like I plan on retiring when I was 16. I said that in like 2019 or early 2020. Here I am. I retired.
You mentioned you had it in 2016. How often would you use it if you did use it?
Nah, in 2016 I didn't really use it, but I had the script in 2016, and I still like remember what it is. But I'm pretty sure it's like off. It was on Vermilion, which was like an exploiter website, and I'm pretty sure it's not there anymore. But
What about title matches?
title matches, I would use it, but like in gyms or anything, I would also use it in gyms. But like in like training sessions, like with my friends, I would not use it because like that's kind of like I don't want to like bring cheating into like a friend group, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
That's kind of like, and I would just do it for title matches and wins. I just
So
wanted
only
to do
for
the
major
gimmick, bro.
events, right?
Hmm?
So only for major events, right? You didn't constantly do it. It wasn't a
No, I
constant
would
thing.
not consider. Nah. At gyms, I would rarely use it. That's why like people were like sus because they see me like going to gyms to troll and anything, and I would barely train. So that was like a mistake on how I got caught.
When people mention that you, when people mention the top cheaters, they bring you on that list, and as you mentioned, a lot of people start making jokes. At some point, has those jokes ever gotten to you? I obviously probably in the beginning it did, but when you still hear about it today, does it make you tick? What gets you what gets you angry when people sort of ridicule you?
Okay, that's actually like a good question. I've never been asked that question, but like speaking today, like somebody like most of my friends like Lee Davis, like me and him make jokes calling each other cheaters, and he says it a lot. And like I would never really care if somebody said like, "Yo, this guy's a cheater, bro." Unless it was somebody that I didn't know, I'd like explain to them like, "Okay, okay, I'm a cheater, and like, what do you want, like, and what?" And it's kind of used as a joke, and no, it doesn't really offend me because it's like at the end of the day, it's only Roblox. So like, what am I gonna care if somebody called me a cheater? Like, you know.
After the Rumble, did you feel, because obviously there was a lot of pressure on you. I know that
Hmm.
I know that a lot of your friends, for lack of a better term, fans, people who looked up to you, do you feel do you feel a sort of remorse towards them? And like, what was the reaction toward your friend group? Was there anyone that was a little bit more harsher than another one?
All right, so my main friend group, like CM, like the Dylan owns it, like Ace Dylan, and he owns like the current number one RWA fed right now after being passed on. Like, and I remember when I got caught, like Dylan was the first person. Like I had to tell him like, "Yo, bro," like, and I apologized to him because like Dylan's actually one of my closest friends. Kind of like the same situation with you and Omni, bro. Like he's still one of my closest friends, like to this day. And he after he found out I cheated, bro, he was like, I'm not gonna like. He literally told me like DM me like I'm not gonna treat you any differently because I still like you like outside of pro wrestling. But what you did was he told me like in a really nice way, like in such a nice way, bro. Like I could never forget it. And nobody in the friend group, like I kind of overreacted because like I kind of left the group chat and server. I was like, okay, bro, they're all gonna hate me, so I was just gonna take a break for a little. But then they all DM me like, to be honest, bro, we don't care. Like it's only real wrestling. And like brutal Damon, like the real wrestler himself, he even told me like you shouldn't have done it, but I still like love you as a person. He was like making jokes, so that's pretty much it.
In terms of people outside of the bubble, did you have anyone? I remember the day that the Omni stuff got tweeted out. People came up to me on the night of, like, a few minutes after, and they were like, how did it feel? Who did you get anyone that surprised you, who messaged you or at least bring it up with you? Not necessarily ridiculing, but just mentioning it. Did anyone surprise you?
I don't really like know how to say it, but it wasn't really surprised because before when APRW was supposed to return after the Rumble, everything, me and Sam Rhodes, like dashing Sam Rhodes, I'm pretty sure you know, like RCW former champ and stuff. We had plans to do like a tag team, and I've never really told anybody this, but I'm telling it today. Like we had plans to like tag team, and we'd name ourselves like the Dashing Ones because we're like really familiar and we really care about like like just the gimmick itself. And we were both interested in like Cody, and we had so much in common, and we were gonna do it together. But and then like I don't really know how to tell him. Like I kind of messed up. Like I don't know what to tell him, so I just like didn't say anything, which I was like really ashamed of. But I still love the guy. Like he still treats me in respect, and he's still like one of the nicest people in this community. And yeah, and like I see some fans on YouTube. Like if you look up Deadly Rhodes, like you'd see some like kid like making music of me. I don't know, it's kind of weird, but like respect to that kid, bro. He'd like react my theme songs. It was kind of funny.
On that night, you also mentioned Ken New. Do you sort of feel any remorse towards Ken? And did you actually go out of your way to apologize to anyone outside of your friend group for that? Higher ups?
Yeah, I apologized to Ken like more than once because I really did feel bad for him because it was his fed, and at the time it was like the number one fed. And I kind of like he told me like looking at the picture of me like winning the Rumble, he'd get like flashbacks and like bad memories. Like I still talk to him. Ken's like my one of my not really close, but we still talk. Like we're still pretty good friends. But he told me how it was kind of dumb and like how he hated me when I did it. But he's kind of chill now, and I really did feel bad for him because he was the Fed owner and he kind of did have passion in me. And he told me like I'm gonna shine a light on you, and that's when I kind of what he did, and that boosted my career a lot. So yeah, I do feel bad for him.
Is there anyone that you lost contact with because of what happened?
the worst thing that can go happen is like the worst thing that could happen is like somebody like would go up to me be like cheater, like that's the worst thing that could happen. But I don't think I lost any contact with anybody because they don't really care. Like I own a server, like like when you were talking about earlier, like Valorant server. Ken was in it, DPV was in it. Like the people who literally exposed me were still in it. Caden, Caden was also involved. I'm pretty sure he was involved with the Rumble thing, and I still talk to Caden Jersey today, and he's really chill. But I still treat him like a friend outside of pro wrestling, and he does the same. So
I want to go into your character work in a little bit, but I feel like someone like Deadly Rhodes, who has so much character development and so much substance to your craft, that is someone I'd love to have in RWI as Deadly Rhodes. Even though obviously not a lot of people would agree with it, I feel like there are, because you were on good contact with a lot of people, there would be some people who would possibly want to see a Deadly Rhodes return. And I know that you said you quit pro wrestling, but w- would you ever come back, and what would make you come back?
okay, so I'm gonna be honest, bro. Without like cheats, I'm like a low mid carder, like rating skill wise, but on the mic wise, everything is the same. Like it's still me talking. But with cheats on, like it just kind of makes me like a high card, which I guess you could say. And I couldn't really beat everybody with it because like people would know how to like kind of defend themselves with it, but it would still make you like pretty OP. Like if I really wanted to try, I was like eventually beating Isaac Mercury in gyms, and I remember like Damon would give me tips, and like I learned how to like BD tie, which was like clutch with like 1 HP. Like even if you're at 1 HP, like force tie it, and that's called the BD tie, like brutal Damon tie. And he taught me about that. He taught me it, and then like I just got better and better, and I met more people and more people, and yeah. The only thing that could make me come back, I guess, for like one night, I guess I'm never gonna do Deadly Roads again because like I can't really have it like their name would kind of get ruined. Like
Yeah.
after this guy like cheater, then like became a jobber and started losing. So I'd never do that gimmick again, unless like I'd do it for a night if I like honestly like tagged with Sam Rhodes, like our original plan. That's like the only way I'd do it, or something like that.
But not, what a lot of people don't know is that there's actually a lot of thought that goes into the character Deadly Rhodes, and that's something that not a lot of people have gone into. There's feds like AXW that specialize in this character work, but there's not many feds that care about having that substance, and because there's not a lot of people that care about having their. There's an idea that it only matters the skill of your clean nowadays. Would you mind explaining your character method and how you created the character Deadly Rose? Because I know there's a huge history behind it.
Yeah, so what you're saying is totally correct. Like pro wrestling now, it's kind of changed because like people only like mostly care about clean. Like that's why you see a lot of these custom characters. Like I don't want to say who, but they're only there like no mic skill or anything. Like just to row wrestle, just to use cleans, but they didn't really care about their character work, and that's what like didn't get them pushed. And that's the thing that CJ saw in me. Like CJ and Ken saw me. They're like, "Yo, you care a lot about your character work," and we could see that. And like they also liked how I pay attention to detail, because like if you ask me like what Cody Rhodes attire I have, like I literally have like I have every one of them made like from like Jobber Cody, which is like legacy days, to like dashing to undashing to Stardust, and like to current Cody. And I didn't really want to do current Cody because like a lot of people like kind of ruined the gimmick. I'm not like trying to be mean, but like I see it like overused, and I just want it to be different.
Would you mind going into detail on how you created the character Deadly Rhodes and how you progressed him throughout your career?
2017 was the first that's when I found out like, okay, what if I did dashing? But then like ever since I started doing it, like 2017 was the year I was really unknown, and that was like my DWF days. In DWF days, it's kind of like it's not really as known as it was back then. So I tried to do it there, and it didn't really work out. So I remained a custom gimmick there, and then like 2019, I did a Leo Rush gimmick, which was really successful. And then that was in UDW, and UDW I started doing dashing again. Yeah, and then UDW, that's where it all started, I guess. And then one of my friends, Kronjik Extreme, he got me into ECW, and that's when ECW was good, like it wasn't ruined or anything. and that kind of got me out of a slump, which I had because like at the time I still was not known for dashing. And then as when I did it in UDW and ECW, that's when I got most known for it. And then winning ECW, the United Kingdom title against Lee Davis, and Lee Davis suspected me for cheating, but he suspected me for like using health script, which I wasn't using, so he didn't really have like any word in it, and I got away with the situation. And yeah, United Kingdom winning that title was like what Ghana got me known as well. And like I'd add like my own like things. Like a lot of people would ask me if like basically for my theme songs, I'd have intros like of my friends who were girls. Like they'd be like, "OMG, Dashing Deadly Roads is so hot," or like anything like that. It was kind of cringy, but I don't know. I just did it because it was kind of funny, and that kind of got me known, and that also like got the crowd to cheer, and that's kind of like something nobody's like ever done. And I'd have like segments that were never really done before. So like anything like that was unique. That's like what kind of gets people to like remember your character. To be honest, like you don't want to be a sheep. You kind of want to be like yourself, and you don't want to like look like everybody else. So that's what I tried to do.
Exactly, and that's just great advice for any gimmick in general, I feel like. But, speaking about gimmicks, obviously you mentioned you're a big fan of Cody Rhodes. You went into it in DMs, but were there any other gimmicks that you considered besides Cody Rhodes when you were heading into this phase of creating a great character like Deadly?
I was born 2004, and like when I was 6 years old, like 2010, I don't know. For me, that was like the prime of WWE. Like I even wanted to do an Ezekiel Jackson gimmick for some reason. Like because at the time I'd see people like people would be like, oh, like John Cena, what a cool guy, like Brock Lesnar, Undertaker, like, and I don't know, I just Cody just stood out to me, to be honest. Like I'm not a big fan of him, like I don't follow him or anything, but I just thought he was a cool gimmick to do, to be like different. And also like as a kid I'd see him a lot, I'd be like, okay, this guy's like really cool from Legacy, and I didn't even know his name. Like it took me a while to like, because at like 2010 I didn't even know like how to use the internet because I was still a kid. And then like when I got into wrestling on Roblox, I was like, okay, hold on, what if I did Cody Rhodes? And then like that's what I was talking about, the 2017 days where it didn't really work out. And then I just known more, like I found out more and more about him. And then like 2017, I found out he's like, he got into like those indie feds, then apparently got into like AEW and NJPW, which I barely know about, but I just hear a lot about it, and that's
So you're definitely one of those people that doesn't really follow the meta of like the John Cena's, Batistas, those top
yeah.
gimmicks. Were you always planning to go into detail with the character of Deadly Rhodes, or was there anything that inspired you to go into detail about him?
In 2016, when I was like a jobber, like I'd see like, oh, Brutal Damon, who's like one of my closest friends. Like, okay, this guy, like all these custom gimmicks, like look like they're having so much fun with their like characters. And oh, like these guys are sweats, and like how they have such cool theme songs. But then like I guess people like say generic gimmicks, like like a Cena gimmick or like an Undertaker gimmick, they don't really get anywhere, and like how they're more generic than a custom gimmick. But to be honest, I kind of found it the other way. I found it like some like only some gimmicks, like some WWE gimmicks would like like get more known than, or like make it more, I don't know how to explain it, but just like make more with their worth than like a custom gimmick, especially in pro wrestling. It depends how you kind of like play the role, bro.
Yeah, because I feel like you can choose a character that's not as well known, but like if you don't execute it like you did, it's not gonna
Uh,
be as successful. That's the thing about like, AVP really wanted to make him unique was because, as you said, like you can be a character like MVP who's not very utilized by. You don't see him in major feds. You don't see like big names other than GVP. But even GVP, he's in AXW. Not he's not really. You don't see him in APRW. Those type of things. I feel like you have to
mhm.
execute it a lot. You have to be good with that. So I try doing the same thing with my own character work. You also mentioned that topic of people having fun with uh with their character. I remember in UDW when I was doing the whole Ashes thing. Me and AJC went back and forth, and I ended up going into, I think we had, I believe it was a 13 or 15-minute promo. It was a long ass promo, and the first time I heard about Damon in a while in relation to me was when this guy in the chat said, "Man, this Ash A's is the new Brutal Damon. in UDW because of how long the mic work is. So that was something that stuck with me, and I was like, why do you think that people don't care about their character work? I mean, obviously people care about cleans, but who do you think shines out? And this is just regarding AXW because they're on a whole nother level, but who do you think shines out in their character work that's just underrated?
Okay, speaking, I don't really know how to like underrated wise, because like I can't think off the top of my head. Like I kind of suck at that. But I mean, I guess I could give you like, okay, speaking again on Brutal Damon, like how he's known, the Tyrant. He was the Star Destroyer, which was pretty generic. Like from what I remember, there was like I don't really remember any character work being put into it until the Tyrant was a thing. And the Tyrant, he was like he told me about it. He was like supposed to be like a ruler, like from like the Middle Eastern days, something like that. I forgot. Don't take my word for it, but that's what he told me. Something about that, and he told me like how that kind of like stands out more than just like a generic like custom gimmick. And same with when I found out about Damon, I just see him fight. Like I just see him fight in YouTube videos. I didn't really know like at the time in like 2016. Like I didn't even know character work and stuff were like that like were a thing. I just like thought you'd like show up and fight, and I didn't even know like promos were a thing. And that's the time I was a kid, and like 2016, like 17, that's when I see Damon fight on YouTube. And compared to now, he's like the Tyrant, and that's where he like mostly cared about his character work, I guess, because that's like the time where he got known, because he got known for the Tyrant as well. It's kind of hard to explain, but that's how he got known for.
You are someone that I think would have made a perfect fit in RWI, minus the whole infamy behind that. You were someone that I
Mhm.
would have loved to have in there because of how flexible the character of Deadly Rhodes is. And the 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 sheer thought of having any sort of character work is something that doesn't exist in pro wrestling except for this one fed that exists, AXW. You mentioned that you had a lot of interest in character work. How come you never? Well, did you cross paths with AXW, and well, why didn't you have a longer run there?
So I'd hear a lot about AXW is like some good talk and some bad talk, and they tell me how like the cleans were really different, like and like how I'm pretty sure it was something about it being one fall, and I fought there once. I forgot if I won or lost,
Yeah,
but
it was
I'm
two
pretty sure I
ins and
won.
one out.
Yeah,
Two outs and one in. Yeah,
yeah, I forgot how it works. Which is how I forgot who owns it. Gianni, I forgot his name.
yeah, Gianni,
How
EVP. Yep.
Yeah, how he runs it is pretty interesting. He kind of like he kind of made it known for being XW, and I hear a lot of character works go in there. And one of my friends who was like a custom gimmick told me like it's not that good. He told me how he got stripped for like not showing up to one show, which I don't know if it was fake or not, but I don't think that's what happened. It was probably a lie, but I was interested in going to AXW, and I was gonna do like 2008 Cody, which was like when he tagged. I forgot who he tagged with. It was some like blonde guy. He tagged with him in 2008, and I was gonna like do something like that. And me and Rich Dillon and Omni Orton were gonna tag there, and we were gonna do Legacy. And I just stopped going. I don't know why. And what you were talking about, RWI, I did really have interest in going there because I found out like okay, I joined the arena once and I saw the ropes, like how you have moving ropes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like fascinated by that. I thought I was really cool. And then I showed up to the Rumble, and then I don't know, I just didn't go there either. I don't know why. But I kind of missed out, to be honest.
The stars never aligned there, but I think it's one of the biggest what ifs. But do you regret not going to like RWI/AXW? Is that something that you regret in the history books? Because obviously you just mentioned you're never gonna come back.
Since I heard a lot of good talk and some bad talk on it, I heard like they also had their own website, which was really cool. And um it was kind of interesting. I wanted to like get like to know Gianni more, and I kind of do miss out like on not going there. Same with RWI. I really wanted to go, but whatever, like what can I do now?
Another what if scenario after the Rumble. Let's say everything had worked out, or well,
Like I won.
quote worked out. Were there any other feds that you would have gone for a longer run? Because pro wrestling can be addictive, and I would say if you never had the balls to step up and say that you did do this,
Hmm.
you could have gone to whatever feds you wanted. What feds would you have gone to?
Yeah, to be honest, I totally agree with that because you know how like it's kind of a joke in this community. People are like, "Yo, I'm retiring," and then they return like a 1 week, like they black their profile picture out and stuff. But I was like really passionate with like just quitting, because like I'm 16 and like what else is there to do? Like I kind of did what I wanted and that's kind of it. Recently, speaking today, ORW, I'd hear a lot of good talk about ORW and how it went on in 2019, 2018, 2017, 2016, and now it's back in 2021. It didn't go on for 2020, and it's run by SDR. I'm pretty sure you know him, and I was kind of interested in going there, but same with BPW, which was run by Ace Dillon, which is like really successful now. I was kind of an OG in that fed, and I still go there. Like I'm still allowed in RWA. It's not like I'm not allowed to fight in most feds, like APRW, but it's over now. BPW, UCW, and like WWL, I'm not allowed to fight there.
I mean, if you can't compete, do you still keep it like? Do you still watch from a distance, or maybe check your Twitter feed with pro wrestling to keep active?
Since like I'm done with pro wrestling, like I just like have people tell me about it. Like the Omni situation, I was kind of late on knowing about it because like yeah, I still have Twitter, like pro wrestling Twitter. I'm barely paying attention to it. I don't know. I just like post memes on there and stuff. Catch a couple of likes, but I'm kind of like delayed on the pro wrestling Twitter. Like I barely know what's going on and stuff. I don't really watch shows. Like the only show like I didn't even watch APRW Mania. Like I didn't watch the stream or anything. I joined it for like 5 minutes and just left.
If anyone else watching is out of date with pro wrestling, you can actually catch us every single week where we recap the pro wrestling highlights on the Steiner section, hosted by Jackson Steiner. It's about a 3 minute or a 6 minute video. You guys should go check it out. We already have a month's worth of it. Feel free to go watch that. And enough of that shameless plug. So looking back on everything, you mentioned that UDW was one of your favorite federations. Well, one of the most memorable. Can you recall any favorite memories? Because I remember, first time I was doing my Ashes thing. I remember seeing I was waiting and I don't really watch UDW that much. I kind of tabbed out for most of the show, but I remember seeing this one thing, the one thing that got my attention, that hooked me on Deadly Rhodes because I was still iffy on it. But I remember seeing that you were in this I think it was like a cabin and you were just staring at the mirror and you were just like you're just talking yourself up. It was all cool and I didn't expect the ladies to walk up, but they walked up. And the thing is, you were no simp about that. You knew you were dashing. That's what sold me. That's what sold me. So what were your favorite memories from UDW?
Jesse, like Origin CA UDW, it was like my favorite, like, because that's where dashing started, and that's like Jesse knew. Because at the time, in early UDW, when it was kind of like unknown, I used to tag with Julian, and like to be honest, we kind of just faded apart. Like we kind of stopped talking to each other, and I didn't really get joy out of trolling anymore. And like I left that in 2019, and then 2020 that's when like UDW, it was early 2020, UDW. That's when like that's when I really found it fun, and that's kind of like the Fed that I took active the most. And I held the IC title for the longest. I'm pretty sure, and I enjoyed doing it there. And yeah, you're talking about the cabin. I remember like the promo. I don't know. I was just like no simp mode, bro. Like I was just like talking. I was just like, being like a narcissist. Like, I don't know how to pronounce it, but
A
narcissist.
narcissist, yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of like what Cody does. And I'd have like my friends who did my intro for me, like the Dashing Deadly Road is so hot. I'd have them like I'd tell them like, yo, walk in, because we were also a faction there. Later, like I found out like one of them was a dude, which is like pretty common in this like this genre with the road divas and whatever. But I still like treat them like my friends. Like they're still my friends to this day, and we were calling like an hour ago before this interview.
In the beginning of UDW, though, things were pretty different because before Deadly Roads, you were tagging with Julian, which is that is something that I looked a little bit down upon. I remember seeing that, and I was kind of that's what unsold me on, because obviously, my history as Julian is he's done a lot of bad things, leaked one of my arenas, and that's what made me dislike this deadly guy, you know.
Yeah.
So would you mind going into to talking about your experience with Julian?
2019, that's the time I kind of returned, and like 2018, I didn't really like row wrestle. In 2019, that's kind of like the day I returned. 2018, I just dipped. Like I didn't even say anything. I just like didn't get any joy, so I just left. And that's the time I was unknown. And then 2019, I got known for like at the time RK was relevant, and like RK was like what was going on. Everybody's like, yo, these guys are dangerous. And what's kind of crazy is there's two versions of RK. So the first RK is like like Justice League, Tyler. I forgot who else was in RK. Dylan. And like that RK, that was like the non-toxic RK. That was more the Pro Wrestling RK. And then RKV2, which was that's what I was got invited to. It was me, Julian Over, Hazard, A Films, Ben, and stuff. That was kind of like troll RK. And I don't know. I didn't really have anybody call with, and they'd like just add me, and we'd play Fortnite and stuff, and we'd stay up late just to play. But then like I'd hear about like Julian doing like messed up shit, and I'd hear like it was worse than like arena leaking. Like I was like, okay, arena leaking like not bad, but I'm pretty sure he's done worse. But yeah, I mean, I guess that's like because like people say like who your friend group is, it's like who you are, like imagine IRL, like people see you with like a group of like smokers, they're gonna obviously assume you're like one of them. So that's I guess like that's like the only way I can explain it.
Did you ever confront him about what you heard?
Nah, I didn't even have his Discord, to be honest. Like I don't know what happened to it. I don't know. I just never found his Discord, and I don't really like care enough to ask anybody for it. But I still have his Instagram. I'm pretty sure we still don't talk there.
Shifting back to what we were talking about in the beginning, when you were in the situation of getting into cheating, I know a lot of people have been, called out, but the only time that I can recall someone has ever confessed to cheating is the one with you. Someone so and I gotta commend you on actually coming out to do that, because I feel like not a lot of people will actually ever do that. There's a lot of people that have been suspected. How many times before you were caught did you get suspected of I don't know what cheat would you use to describe that?
So back to the ECW thing. Lee Davis, him and Walsh, like, yeah, well, him and Walsh were like one of the first people to like accuse me of cheating. But Lee Davis actually tried to take it legit, and he'd be like, "Oh, okay, yeah, this guy's 100% cheating," and nobody really believed him, which I kind of felt bad for him because he was kind of the first person to accuse me for it. And he literally like everybody in this community, mostly everybody, like I could say 50 or 40% of this community has Synapse X, which is like the cheating thing. Some people don't use it for cheats though. Some people just use it for like other Roblox games to get an advantage. And Lee Davis knew that I had it because of arcade days, and arcade, somebody like coming from arcade couldn't, like, you look at them, they shouldn't really take like, like this guy shouldn't really take pro wrestling seriously, like considering his past, like like hanging out with a bunch of exploiters. He's obviously one of them. And I'd be like, nah. I'd like deny everything. I'd be like, nah, I'm not really like one of them. Which I'm really not, like person wise, but cheating wise, I guess you could say I am. Which, because everybody else there, like, they were known for big cleaning, but I never told anybody about what I used. So I was just kind of to myself. And him and Walsh, I guess you could say they were like the first people to ever accuse me for.
Nowadays in pro wrestling, a lot of people get in your scenario where they get called out, and again, not a lot of people have ever come out like this and actually told people that they have been cheating for an extended period of time. Do you think other people that you've been in the ring with, considering that you have been on the other end of cheating? I don't know if you don't have to name anyone if you don't want to, but do you think anyone else in pro wrestling cheats? And how many?
It's kind of like you can't really know because, like, like the Sama situation, like everybody was like, yo, this guy's the next Ty Carter. But then, like, from what I've heard, he was like speed exploiting, hitbox expanding, and all that. And he just made it super obvious. And it wasn't like I wasn't hearing good about him because, like, I still talk to him, and he's like one of my closest friends. And I still like the guy, but he got exposed, I'm pretty sure. And uh, you can't really like tell who's exploiting now unless like it's in local logs, and local logs is what they caught like Omni with me, pretty sure Sama with. You can really find anything in local logs, so it's kind of like it's kind of changed pro wrestling forever. But I know like Carrie, I don't know. I don't really know her like I don't really know her like personal, but I'm pretty sure she also cheats as well. From what I've heard, like she tried to hide something in local logs and was like caught doing it and something like that. And she had like a history of also like having cheats in like 2017 using heel script or something, which was somebody told me. And the thread on the heel script was found on the same website where I found my script. And I just changed up the keybinds with my script and made it like easier to use. But it's kind of like you can't really tell who's exploiting now. Like back to what I'm saying, because like nobody really expected me except for like one or two people. And anybody who got good, like Lee Davis, who fights legit, he's also been like he's been suspected a lot of exploiting, like by a lot of different people, but I'm pretty sure he's clean. You can't really like know. I guess the only like exploit you can get away with is speeding yourself because that's kind of undetectable. Infinite yield is undetectable unless it's on screen share. Like infinite yield doesn't show up in local logs.
I know you watched the Omni interview today. Do you think that he was one of those people that cheated?
On my personal like view on it, the video didn't really like show anything because like if they suspected him using infinite yield big clean and he didn't use infinite yield big clean, you don't really know. Like he could have used like another big clean script or anything like a hitbox expanding script that didn't really require infinite yield. But if what he's saying is legit, and I don't really know more about him, but apparently like if he really did screen share himself in matches and record and like it looked normal and when he won IC, if he won IC and recorded it, then I'm pretty sure he's legit, but since everybody's accusing him now, there's really no other way to prove it. And if his local logs were like if his local logs were messed up like mine were, then I guess you could say he's cheating.
For me, a lot of people think that I just automatically believe it, but to be honest, I'm also in that situation where I can't really make a definitive answer to that. I don't know if that's the type
Yeah.
of thing that he would do because, even though I've seen him throughout for like the entire portion of the Omni career, uh, there are some moments where I legitimately think like it doesn't make sense that he would cheat because he lost a bunch of really easy matches. Knowing me,
Yeah.
I kind of know my talent and I kind of know, hey, this guy's gonna beat that guy, but like, it just is that type of situation. So there's a lot of different stuff that I took away from that. I had to learn and adapt to new things. I never had to really deal with anyone cheating, but because of that, I learned a lot of good stuff from talent that there's all types of talent in pro wrestling, and you learn that different people do different stuff, not just because they want to cheat and they want to do this, but there's reasons behind it. Just like you mentioned in the beginning, how you were talking about, like, it was, there's it's not you don't I don't think that face value anymore because there's so much more to just a simple cheat. There's reasons behind
Yeah.
it, and you learn that in pro wrestling.
Hmm.
You're smart enough to learn that. What did you learn from pro wrestling? What things did you take away in morality?
So like something like back to the Rumble situation, like it was kind of crazy because like some of the closest friends, I don't really want to call out who, but it was one person like in 2019 days, like you could also use like infinite yield to use F3X. I'm pretty sure you know what that is, like F3X tools, like the B tool. And you could also use make the ropes bigger. And I used it at this one indie fed. And you know how rumbles work. Like literally everybody shows up to a rumble, like no matter what. Like they just do it for fun. And I showed up to it, and I went AFK in the rumble. I just told people to protect me, and they actually did end up protecting me. And what I did is at the time I found out like you can make the ropes bigger, but that's not what I did in the APRW rumble. I just did that in the indie rumble because I knew I would possibly get away with it, and I did end up getting away with it. And I don't really want to talk about the Fed, but I ended up winning their title. And at the time, the Fed was like it would like average like what 20, 30 like members, which is still pretty good, but
I mean,
uh-huh.
thank God that never happened in RWI because if you edit the ropes, the physics of the ropes is going to be
Yeah.
very, very obvious.
You'd see me like fling everywhere, yeah.
Yeah, but other than cheating, Other than cheating, which is obvious, what things would you try to do differently? Say you could do it all over again. What would you do differently, other than
Back to the cheating thing, like people like don't really care like who you are. Like nobody looks at you unless you like win titles in this genre. Like, and that's why people told me like, yo, just like after I like admitted to cheating, people would be like, yo, if you just wanted to do a gimmick, bro, why don't you just go to RP? And like we were talking about this earlier, like nobody like every time I talk about RP to somebody that like suggest me to stay away from it and how toxic they were, but that's kind of like my I don't know other people's opinions on it like make a big deal about it because like it's a big I don't know people just don't like fuck with RP like I guess I don't really know how to explain it,
Yeah,
but from what I heard like RP is like a
they're not very
toxic place and
accepting.
they're not welcome. Yeah, they're not like accepting unless you're like a nobody. I guess they'd probably accept you, but
Would you ever consider going to RP? I mean, now it's probably more difficult, but would you consider it?
to be honest, not really. I don't feel like the community's for me, unless they have like like I know APRW like I feel like RP wouldn't just be fun like you just like a takedown tool. I mean it'd probably be more fun than clean, but clean is like where I had and like clean and RP are two different communities because like same with like animated like LXM's version of animated. Uh, like it was a whole different community than RP and RP like people like friends like friends in clean wrestling wouldn't be there with you in RP and you'd kind of like have a fresh start, and I did not really want a fresh start just for their RP wrestling because it wasn't really my thing, but I really did like their character work because they do spend a lot of time in character work in RP, but the people there I guess just not welcoming.
Not just in clean community that you would return, whether it be a personality. Maybe like just as an example, maybe something like on the Roblania network, like a co-host or correspondent. Would there be anything that you'd be willing to come back? Like a podcast correspondent, even though you have lived in infamy for a while.
Hmm.
People want to know, is Deadly Rhodes ever going to come back besides just wrestling?
A lot of people are asking me like some indie feds like to be honest like I don't have the time to return because my soccer season starts soon again once like all this corona stuff happen like ends, and I was gonna have it for winter like my soccer season, but I don't really want to do it for winter because like just why not. And what you were saying like people ask me a lot about like co-hosting for their fed or like just becoming a CEO if I wanted to start my own fed, and I'm not really into that. Like I feel like it's too much work and I don't have the time to like sit behind a screen like
Yeah, it is a lot of work.
for
Trust me, coming from
yeah.
me, it is a lot of work.
I can barely sit like at a show for like more than like 2 hours without like my eyes hurting. Like I just need to do something else. Like most shows, like just waiting in the crowd, I'd get like so bored. Like I just like watch Netflix or YouTube or something. I don't really know. I guess there's nothing else that can make me return. I hate to break it, but
Of you coming back in a video game form, for example, if you guys haven't heard already, which probably is impossible because of my promotion, but I'm just saying, Mysterio Mystery is open for Chapter 1. Link will be in the description. Only 35 Robux. Open for access right now. What are your thoughts on that game that the developer has worked really hard on? And maybe one day we will talk to the developer who totally is not in this call.
yeah, bro, that game is. I messaged you about it. And that game was sick, bro. I'm not even gonna lie. Like the cutscene, I didn't even know you made it. I was just playing it, and then I checked like, okay, who owns this group, bro? And I'd see like Ash A Assembly, like the guy who commentated for UDW made this game, bro. And I was kind of surprised. I was like really surprised because the game's like really well made.
Just saying, would there be a chance of Deadly Roads returning via video game in Mysterious Mystery? Would you say that,
I
not
mean,
this is not a shameless plug, but guys, just saying, would there be a chance?
if you want to add me as an NPC in your game, bro, I'm like down for that, bro. Loki, that sounds dope.
So you're saying right now, Deadly Roads will be returning. That's the title right there. Deadly Roads is returning. Is there any lasting message that you want to put onto your viewers or to the people that knew you, or I guess you could call them fans, but like I don't like calling Pro Wrestlers fans because they're
Yeah,
real
it's
wrestlers at
kind
the
of
end of the
cringy.
day. And we have nothing
Yeah.
against here, obviously. Is there anything that you would want to say? Maybe a quote?
The only thing I could say is like be yourself because that's kind of what I wanted to do, but I did it in like what people would think a bad way. And I know I'm gonna get hate on this video. Like, okay, bro, this guy's a loser. He cheated in Roblox, bro. At the end of the day, I did what I wanted, and people like to see it. So I guess just don't be a sheep, bro. Be yourself, and just like make your gimmick more original. I don't really talk about pro wrestling, but this was kind of interesting, like to talk about, like talking with you.
Was this your first interview ever since?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So this is kind of an all right, yeah. I respect you for that. You could have just stayed there. You could have defended yourself. You could have stuck your ground and main evented APRW Mania for their final event, but you didn't. Was it the final event?
Or no, it's Rumble the Mania.
Thank you for showing up here. I really appreciate it. This has been something I've learned a lot today. I mean, a lot of this was just recaps from our DMs, but the fact that you're willing to put this out there and possibly get another person who hasn't seen the situation, maybe just was like, oh, he's a cheater, that's it. But there's there's more sides of the story, and I'm glad that I'm able to talk to people like you and Omni. Not to compare yourself, not to compare you two together, but the fact that I get to put out another side of the story, I really appreciate that, and I appreciate you coming out there and contacting me. So I hope you guys learned something. Anyways, do me a favor, like, comment, subscribe. Deadly, would you mind doing the outro?
All right, this is Dashing Deadly Rhodes. I'm being held at gunpoint saying this, but don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and follow Roblania Studios on YouTube, and follow them on Twitter as well at Roblania.
Let me go, blood drip from your can.